Okay, hello everyone. Yes, so it's Franck Vigneron with the French accent, or Vigneron with the English accent. So thank you for trying a not easy name sometimes, but I agree. But it's going to be sort of the same accent. It's going to feel like you are watching a Pink Panther movie or something, or Hector Poirot or something. Both a French accent for you today. So I will be myself talking about this concept of business plan, the idea of the growth element of the business plan. And so that's why I sort of selected this image of the chicken and the egg, because something has to start. You know, it's very conceptual, abstract, to some extent philosophical. What started this business? Was it an idea? Was it a product? Was it some desire to start a business and run the business for yourself and be the boss? There's something that started, there's a genesis that really started all of that. But as soon as you start with business, you quickly realize that it's not that simple, because you need to wear a lot of different hats. And in some way, I find that some of the most difficult things in life are essentially, you know, being a parent, being married, and having a business. That's three of the top most difficult things, because there's so many roles that you have to play, and you sort of learn those roles as you're actually implementing them. So business people oftentimes rely on other people, consultants, to guide them, or maybe they buy a book, or maybe they watch videos online, or as of today, they go and rely on the AI in order to give them guidance, and that is a good thing. But from my experience, having consulted for over 1,000 small businesses, I would say on a percentage, there's less than 10% that have a business plan. So, and the 10% that believe have a business plan, when you actually look at this document, it's not really a business plan, it's something else. So I would say most people don't really know what is the business plan. And that's one of the big problems, is where does it start, what's inside? And you had an introduction to the different elements of the business plan from Professor de Gravel just a few minutes ago. But just to reiterate that, what I think is the simple way to look at a business plan is a little bit like what you find in a business school. And what you find in a business school is different departments. There's the management department, the marketing department, the finance department, the accounting department, the business law department. Each one of these departments teach the students those subjects, and eventually teach them to create a report for each one of those subjects. But a business plan is essentially the aggregation of all of these reports. So the people that learn to write a marketing plan will eventually be one of the chapters within the business plan. So to some extent, a business plan does not exist. A business plan is the combination of existing plans that have been created by different people. Obviously, you're looking at the information that we're providing you, and again, somewhat abstract. It's complicated. There is so much more than what we are touching. This is just the surface. And for many people, it's very overwhelming. So my experience is, again, 90% of the business don't write a business plan because they don't know what it is. And once they know what it is, it's not that very easy to create one. And oftentimes, even people ask me, hey, Frank, you're a business professor. Why don't you write me quickly a business plan? Don't you have a business plan in 5 minutes? As if anyone could come up with all of these different parts in just a matter of minutes. It is not possible. But what business you should do is that know what's inside this box, called the business plan, and know that it would be at the minimum essential to maybe have one page for each one of these when you start the business. Many times people are generating a business plan when they are looking for investors, or they're looking for financing from a bank, and therefore there is a official process that require these documents, so therefore they're looking for resources in order to create the document. Or maybe they have a partner is joining inside the business, and this person wants to see a business plan, or they want to create a business plan once they join in, because they want to know what everyone does. And that's essentially the section in the business plan that talks about the teamwork, the role, the HR elements, and so forth. But businesses don't want to make mistakes, and so they want to forecast in the future, and there's a budget plan, there's a timeline plan that has a schedule of what are the objectives and the different major tasks that design in the future. So all of this has to be organized. So a marketing plan, I put it on the right side, has its own set of elements that is included inside, but inside business plan, you have all of these different plans. So that's, I think, the simplest way to look at it and to see the different elements. Obviously, when you're an entrepreneur, you have the startup and the growth element. And so it's essentially coming up with an idea, looking at some research and finding out if this idea is supported by the market, if there's a need in the market, and then going into the different elements of trying to find who are the competitors, what are the prices, how much is it going to cost, and developing some kind of process to implement the launch of this product. So those steps are the entrepreneurial processes. That's what everyone is looking at when creating growth, because it's very difficult to grow without innovation. So innovation is a very important element of growth, and starting a business should be based on innovation. But to me, all of it is important, and that's the foundation. But if we start looking at what's essential is finding a gap in the market. It is coming up as a solution to a problem. So what is the problem that I'm solving? And to me, again, based on my experience of thousands of consulting projects, is most businesses do not start trying to solve a problem. Most businesses start by thinking of an idea and thinking that this idea is what's fundamental, the most important thing. And this idea is based on what they want. So businesses to succeed should not be thinking about what they want to do. They should be thinking about what the market wants and needs right now from someone which is not offering this thing. And so therefore you're looking for in the environment for a gap. So just as a quick a review of what's the environment is made of multiple variables. And there's the variables that are inside the gray zone, which is called the micro environment, and the variables which are in the macro environment, which is inside the burgundy zone. All of these are, if you want, like mines that you have to mine in order to identify some changes that you can take advantage of. And so those changes are discussed in the document of the business plan, which is called the PEST analysis, also called the PESTL analysis. It's the same thing. It's looking at, you see here I have this element called political. Next to it I have the element that is economical. And so all of these are, again, back inside what's called the market environment. All of these have to be looked at in order to see gaps, see changes that could be good, changes that could be bad. So you want to anticipate, and you don't want to be a victim of not having anticipated. Once you've made this test analysis, then you can jump into what's called the SWOT analysis. So the SWOT analysis is, I would say, the minimum that a business should do by understanding what are their strengths and their weaknesses, which means what they're good at, what they're not good at, and the opportunities and the threats, which means the changes in the environment that they can take advantage of. So they want to take advantage of opportunities, and opportunities are not ideas. Opportunities are variables, environmental variables that are changing in a way that the business could come up with a solution in order to solve, take advantage of those changes. The threats those changes are negatively going to impact the business. So they may be competitors, that's usually the biggest one, but there may be change of regulation, there may be change in the resources or the access to the resources. So all of that will have an impact on the business. Here, what's very important to focus on is the concept of opportunity. So for the students and for the businesses, I've noticed that most of the people misunderstand the concept of opportunity. So I've created this pattern of slides that talk about what I call the OI: opportunity, ID, strategy, and tactics. So I'm going to briefly look at them very quickly so you can see what they are. But essentially, what I recommend people is to create a brief SWOT. And so sometimes using just a few bullet points is very good. So you have the SWOT that talks about the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. Then you can have a more detailed SWOT with many bullet points for the strengths, many bullet points for the weaknesses. But you should always have a sort of an executive summary of the things that you create, so that way you can go straight to the essential. The same thing, you have a list of the opportunities, you have the list of the threats, but you have one document that shows the best one of each one of these, so that way you can really highlight what's very important. And again, the opportunity is not what you should be doing. It's not an idea. The opportunity is the definition of the change that is very important. So I'll give you an example that we all went through this weekend. I had to go to Home Depot a number of times this weekend. I was working on some home restoration. And every time I went to Home Depot, I saw people walking out of Home Depot with their air conditioning, mobile air conditioning. It was so hot that people were buying air conditioning. How smart of Home Depot to know to stock so many air conditioning before the weekend. Well, they knew because they used the weather as an element of the environment that generates opportunity. If they know it's going to rain a lot, they stock up on umbrellas. If they know it's going to be very, very hot, they stock up on air conditioning. The opportunity is not, let's stock up on air conditioning. The opportunity is the weather indicates that it's going to be 110 or higher pretty much in all the valley and the basin. So then they will want to stock up this. So an opportunity is something is changing that everyone can take advantage of, but mostly the people that have seen that. So what's important about this is that you define what is the opportunity first, and then you talk about what are the specific opportunities and what is the idea. So the idea, because the weather is going to be very hot, is to stock up more of fans, more of air conditioning, more of fridges, more of this. So the idea is let's stock up more fridges, but the opportunity can generate many more than just the idea of air conditioning, of the fans or whatever. It's all the things that would have to do with the special weather that's going to require some other needs from the customer. So anticipating is very important, and the analysis of the market, the analysis of the SWOT and the opportunity within the environment, macro and micro, is what helps to determine what are the opportunities that as a business you can take advantage of. And then from this generates the concept of, therefore, what are the strategies that we want to have? So these are the long-term and broad direction that the company is going to take. And then you have the tactics, which are the much more smaller, detailed decisions that you would want to take. So should entrepreneurs focus on developing their own business ideas? And the answer is, ideas might be too esoteric. I've got this great idea. So many businesses fail because they didn't go anywhere because they were focusing too much on their idea. An idea may be too much something that is about you. Investors don't like to invest on ideas. They want to invest on the opportunities. So talk about opportunities more than you think about ideas. It's difficult to evaluate an idea. It's much easier to evaluate an opportunity because you don't have market information to back it up. Ideas tend to go monodimensional, lack dimensions again because they are not related to maybe some data versus the opportunities will be. They often too focus on the products and they don't really think about the customer needs. So because an idea is sometimes, oh, let's make that product. In the result, it's going to minimize the number of customers, the number of competitors, and therefore it's going to be too much focused on what the business owner wants to do. So it relies on, therefore, making all of this product and then trying to sell all the products that you've made. From a general public, it's a discussion. It's therefore should be about first thinking about the idea, but quickly realizing if there's an opportunity that supports the idea. If there are opportunities supporting the idea, therefore this idea is valid, therefore this business can go. But building a business just on ideas is not the best thing. So adjusting is very important. Here's a case study of a student that became a multimillionaire at CSUN. This student went to see his grandma, and every time he saw his grandma, grandma was saying, I don't remember if I took my pill. I don't remember if I took my pill. Should I take it again? Should I double dose? Should I miss a dose? What should I do? And the student said, that doesn't make sense. Grandma has a memory problem, and therefore I need to help grandma. The opportunity is it just my grandma, and I have an idea of helping my grandma, or is it an opportunity because lots of grandmas and grandpas forget their pill. The student found out that there was a lot of people forgetting that if they took or didn't take their pill. So he created the RX timer cap, which is a simple cap that he designed himself. He was not an engineer. It is a cap that records the last time you opened it and the last time you closed it. And so this cap, he came to see me and said, what should I do? I said, well, why don't you go see Kaiser Permanente? Why don't you go see Walgreens? Why don't you go see Rite Aid and offer the product? Because they don't want to double those people. They don't want grandma to forget their pill. Obviously, you can find this in Walmart, you can find this everywhere in America now. And that was a student from CSUN, and this was just a discussion that we had at the end of the class. So this thing happened, and this thing becomes successful because, not because people are smart or whatever, but because people understand the concept of opportunity and not the concept of idea. Just to finish, when you look at the AI sample, plan that you may see, you find it very interesting. So there's more and more of them being created, like Optometrics Pro AI, and even Grammarly is doing that now, which is really interesting. And so, why would I recommend this? Because if people want to start working on this business plan, it requires quite a lot of knowledge in order to do it. And with those software and those AI software, you can get things done very well, very fast. What's very important is like, you know, it would be like if I was teaching people how to create music, but I told them that they should not learn any instrument. Well, doing music, just by using your computer and using beats and sounds and so forth, why not? But the problem is if you don't have any knowledge of any instrument, you're going to be just using the software to the possibility of the software, but not really understand the main frame of the physics that you're creating. So I teach students music, and then I teach them how to compose with the instruments that they've learned. So that's a bit the weakness of those AI software, is that it's the quality of what you put inside as the prompt information text generates the quality of the responses from the AI software. And the AI software sort of cuts corners. So I think an example here, what's in the orange is what I took it from one of the main ones from their website, and them advertising how good they are. And even then you can see that there's some mistakes. It says, okay, type your information, and that's the orange. Foxy is a food business that specializes in creating delicious and pies using seasonal ingredients. Our target is on the go, middle class millennials. They're always looking for their next adventure and need a high quality, possible meal. Our business will reach them through our food truck and also through social media and top of events. Then the software takes this and goes. Foxy is a new food business that specializes in creating delicious and pies. Foxy stands out for other food offerings in the area because we are the only end pie business that uses seasonal ingredients. Here's the problem, is the software made the assumption that you are the only one, and therefore translating this in a better way. But oftentimes the problem is when people get this information, they get under the assumption that if the software says I was the only one, I'm the only one. And therefore that may be a problem because it puts you in a position where you have sort of too much confidence and not realizing that you're not as unique as you think. So on paper, through the software, it may be true, but through the eye of a trained person or an investor, they may see that you're just speaking above and beyond the reality of the situation, because this software, you give them too much freedom to generate the information. However, how many people can create those beautiful graphics? Not too many. How many can do all of this arrangement? Not too many. How many people will know that they've not missed anything? The software is helping you not to miss things, to get things organized, to get things looking prettier, and that's also very, very important. So I think, again, going back to my analogy, learn to play some instruments before you create some and compose some songs. I think that's a good thing in order to better understand the whole mechanism of the software. And that concludes. And to conclude this, another solution outside of those software, is actually to use universities. Every university in California, every university in the United States has a free consulting services for businesses. And that's just the thing that is done in the top universities because they want their students to get involved and help businesses. In our situation, we have a generous sponsor, which is Wells Fargo, that is sponsoring our center. And if you're interested, you can reach me here. There is my email, and you can send me an email and say, hey, I'm interested to get business consulting services to help my business. Thank you.
Thank